Time now for sports on 104.7 The Cave. Here's Ned Reynolds.
Mike, the intern, Ned Reynolds in the studio Monday morning. As groundskeeper Willie in The Simpsons once said in regards to the win in Carolina yesterday, it's not pretty, but it'll do.
No, it is not pretty. But the fact is that the Chiefs are 10-1 on the year, and you can't deny that. But I'll tell you, they're a puzzling team, to say the very least. I deny the fact that they're playing down to their opponents, but this is a team they should have run out of the ballpark yesterday. Carolina's not very good, folks, and yet they're in the game right to the very end. The Chiefs have to go to a field goal, and how they do it? On a Patrick Mahomes 33-yard run through a blitz, which happens, heck, he was sacked 5 times yesterday, 5 times in the game, and yet he runs through this blitz and gets 33 yards and sets up the winning field goal by Spencer Schrader. So it's a win 30-27 for Kansas City over the Carolina Panthers. And what they're doing is, it just puzzles the daylights out of me because they have the capabilities. I'm almost thinking, Mike, what's going to happen when they do run up against a team that will build a lead on them, like a 14-0 or a 21-7 lead? Then they'll have to open up their attack. They're capable of doing that. But for some reason, they're very reluctant to do it during the course of games. It absolutely puzzles the daylights out.
I told you what I think. I already told you what I think. It's they just don't want to show their hand. In regards to yesterday, I think they do play down their opponents. But I think with regards to the Bills game, I think they play that game like they don't want to give them film on the postseason. They're already playing like they're going to the postseason, and they don't want to give any teams film. But also, I think part of it, too, is they're gassed. You can kind of see it, especially in the defensive side of the ball. They look gassed.
I can't believe that a pro team would hide anything along those lines at this juncture of the season. Yes, late in the season, absolutely. I will buy that theory. But at this point, when you don't have things settled yet, I deny that.
The only reason I think it is because the only way you can move forward, especially if you've won back-to-back championships, you know that every single team you face every week is looking at you going, we got to take them down. That's their Super Bowl. They're looking at every single piece they can. You've got to think past that, and really logically the next step is let's not give them film.
But they don't have things solidified yet.
We'll
see.
There
are circumstances in which they could... You play around with fire, you're going to get burned. And I'll tell you, the game coming up on Black Friday is one of those games that could burn them. I don't think that the Raiders are very good at all, but they do have motivation. They do want to come in. They are pro athletes, and they have more skills than Carolina does. Bryce Young, who did the quarterbacking for Carolina yesterday, is a good up-and-coming kid, but he's not going to be the savior of everything for them, certainly not this year. And then to just beat them, just to squeeze by. But again, you can't deny the fact that Kansas City did win the game. What bothers me is the 5 sacks. You allow your quarterback, you allow the defense to get in on him like that, and something bad can happen. You know, he goes down. Patrick is a big guy. He's very quick. He's deceptively quick. He's a good athlete and all that sort of thing, but he's a human being, and you can only take so much of that. Now, fortunately, he wasn't on the sacks. He was grabbed and thrown. He wasn't pummeled in any way. I don't think that would happen in football. And it was also a game, and again, I hesitate to say this, but it was influenced by the officiating, which I think was really poor. There were pass interference calls in that game that weren't interference. Now, what on earth they're using as the criteria for this, I don't know. If there is any criteria, if they're using anything. I've had a friend who said that the officiating is really bad, and he would know. But the fact is that the Chiefs were affected by that. I guess in some respect, the Carolina Panthers were as well, but that was not a very pretty game.
Both sides of the ball, the officiating was garbage, but it's something I've been saying for a couple seasons now, is where everyone wants to lean into the fact that Chiefs get all the calls when it's actually league-wide. The issue is the officiating, and it's easier for the NFL just to say, oh, yeah, some teams... than just to look at the product and say, no, you're right, the officiating's garbage, and we need to look at that, and we need to fix it. They're not going to say that.
What they need to do is take into consideration what the public says.
Yeah.
Now, as long as the public is paying the money and watching on TV, we'll leave it alone. But when that starts to erode, like it is on this show right here, we're not the only ones. There are others who see this. And the compromising factor is the attention from the audience. Then there will be changes made.
And seeing it and saying it for a long time, Ned, I will also say we can't get DJ Humphries on that front line. Monday in Missouri, while the Missouri State basketball Bears are living it up. Sunny beaches down south, the island life. They're in a tournament, though. How they doing?
This is the Cayman Classic. They're playing in Georgetown, which is the capital of the Cayman Islands. They're on Grand Cayman. That's the biggest island of the group. And that's where the Bears are playing. It's a 3-day tournament that began last night. The Bears played High Point. High Point is from North Carolina. They are in the Big South Conference, and they are a Division I program, and a pretty good one, too. And Bears beat them by 10, 71-61. Vincent Brady II led the Bears with 27 points, 10 rebounds, and a chance now to play in a winner's bracket game tonight. And that winner's bracket game opponent will be the Eagles of Boston College out of the Atlantic Coast Conference. BC walloped Old Dominion last night, 82-52. So BC plays the Bears tonight. That's a 6:30 game. And then there is one more game coming up tomorrow. And, of course, depending on what happens is the time element involved. That concerns the time element. So we'll see, but the Bears get a win. They're 4-1 on the year. Beat High Point. That's High Point's first loss of the year. And the final 71-61. Good win for the Bears. We'll see how they do against an Atlantic Coast Conference team tonight.
Going to be a tough test, and it's just going to get tougher on down the road. Now we've got the NCAA tournament soccer matchups yesterday. Missouri State still in this thing?
They were until last night. They kicked it off at the Betty and Bobby Allison Field over by the Great Southern Bank Arena, just adjacent to it. And for the second time this year, played Kansas City. They used to be UMKC. They call themselves now just Kansas City. And for the second time this year, Kansas City defeated the Soccer Bears of Missouri State. Only this time, it knocked the Bears out of the NCAA tournament. Kansas City 2, the Bears 1 on the home grounds here in Springfield. So that ends the season for Missouri State. Their campaign is all over. Very good soccer program, but they do run awry and get beaten by Kansas City. Now, the other soccer program in town is the Lady Panthers of Drury. And they're playing in the Women's Division II National Championship, played in Ashland, Ohio, and beat the home team 1-0. So that moves Drury into competition in Allendale, Michigan, which is a little bit on the outside of Detroit, where on sometime next weekend, I think it's going to be on Sunday, but I'm not sure, it'll be Drury versus Grand Valley State. That's the host team, and they're very good. And this will be a nice little challenge, but hey, much good luck to our local soccer teams. They're playing well.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of Kansas, did you see that KU-Colorado game last Saturday?
I absolutely did, and, the media would love for Colorado to be in the playoffs. So they keep looking for it. Colorado still has a chance. A chance? Did you happen to see that game? Kansas owned them. And you mean they have a chance? Get out of here.
Playoffs. I mean, if they want them so bad, how the hell that's going to happen when Sanders keeps shoving refs around? You think he should have been kicked out of the game like that?
No, and I'm glad he wasn't either, because the referee didn't know what had happened. The referee himself, and this is the white hat, was trying to break up a fight. So I'm sure he felt the shove in his back but didn't see it. And you can't use that as a replay. That doesn't work. He did push him. I don't think he pushed him.
The behavior.
Oh, no. No, heavens no. That's Shedeur Sanders. I'll tell you where that does hurt. Because when the pro scouts look at that and they see what this kid did.
He's going to Las Vegas, baby.
We've got some. Yeah, he needs to be a Raider.
Or a Steeler. Last but not least, we're down to the semifinal round of the state football championships. Our locals team still alive in this thing?
We have several. The Nixa Eagles. Nixa goes and plays the number 1 team in the state, Lee Summit North, and beats them on Friday 21-20. Oh, my goodness. Well, that earns for Nixa a semifinal game coming up this weekend. They'll play Kirkwood out of St. Louis, and that will be in Nixa. Another team to advance was Seneca, and they will play at home in the Class 3 competition, and they'll take on Lift for Life Academy. Are you familiar with them at all, Mike?
Never heard of it before in my life.
They have a pretty good athletic program, and they've been competitive, and they've played in the competition before, the state competition. And that's coming down to play Seneca. They're from St. Louis. It's an academy. It's an academy with a particular theme to it. It's called Lift for Life. And they will play in the Class 3 semifinals against Seneca at Seneca. Class 2, Fair Grove. They've been right up there at the top of the state. They continue to win win, they'll have to travel for their semifinal game. They'll go to South Shelby and play, or Shelbina, I should say, and play South Shelby. That'll be on Saturday. And then Lamar in Class 2. Lamar will play at home against Bowling Green. Bowling Green's from up in the northeast part of the state. So this is interesting. If both Lamar and Fairgrove win, whereas in past years they would have played in the district, if they both win Saturday, they'll play the state championship game. And again, in Columbia, 2 teams from down here. All coming up on Saturday.
Couldn't write it better myself, Ned. You have a great Monday, and I will see you mañana.